Sit up higher. So last time we had a stage, we're trying out different, I'm gonna stand up until we start. This feels weird. So last time we had a stage, we're trying to figure out what feels most comfortable. For those who were here last time, they know my speaking style is a little different. I engage with the audience. Though you're here to network, you are now my family. And I will pick on you as such, like my family. That also means family tells family when something's wrong. I don't want to call it a complaint. I got constructive criticism about the smell. It couldn't have been from a car or a recent car, but it doesn't matter because I smell it too. So I talked to the manager here. He turned on the AC. He was turning on the AC anyway. So we're fixing that. So I'm one of the guys. My team, raise your hand. So everybody who's raising a hand, and I think some people outside, if you have any complaints, I like complaints because I want to fix them. The second thing is, and I kind of already said this in the beginning, is I am a very engaging, I shouldn't call myself a speaker. I just happen to have the mic, and I pay for the mic, or our team paid for the mic. I will be asking you guys questions. I want it to be interactive. This is not a conference. This is a networking opportunity. This is a chance to talk to somebody next to you who you can raise money from, or vice versa. I think half the audience last time was ready to invest in somebody else's deal. If somebody had a deal that was feasible or had good returns. So that means you're literally sitting next to somebody who can invest in your deal, or you might be the person who wants to invest in somebody else's deal. One of the first things that I learned when I started investing was these mythical investors that actually exist are actually looking for deals. Think about it. You're actually looking for a deal. You're either looking for a deal or looking for money. And growing up outside of the investment or money space, they were like unicorns to me and to my family. We always heard, oh, these investors and the New York money and hedge funds. I didn't even hear about a real estate fund until maybe 5 years ago. I didn't think that was a thing. I thought the only thing that exists was a hedge fund. And I didn't even know what a hedge fund was. I just knew they had a lot of money because everybody talked about hedge funds. So investors are people like Angel. And that's one of the reasons why I have Angel here, because we've had a couple stories, and I'll let her go into detail, but Angel encounters many instances where she goes somewhere and they're like, oh, she's not an investor. Am I right? But I'll let her go into that.
Well, it's because of this. Like, I don't look like an investor. Because I got blue and purple hair and I wear blue jeans. And like, I used to wear blue jeans. I've outgrown my blue jeans.
You gotta use your mic like an investor.
Oh, sorry. So it's not even on. I'll use my teacher voice. So I wear my jackets because I outgrew my blue jeans. COVID has not been nice to me. But I do get that. People look at me and they're like, oh my God, you're not an investor. And I get dismissed a lot. So don't judge a book by its cover.
Judge a guy's bank account.
Just realize that you don't know who you're talking to. Like,
you never do.
You never know who you're talking to. And so don't think that people are all these different levels.
Yeah.
Because people are people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you look like, whether you're fat, you're skinny, you're white, you're black, you're yellow. None of those things matter.
Nope.
You're just people.
Yeah.
And so when you're talking to people, remember they're people. And don't try and talk to them based on how they look, because you're never going to get it right. Never.
That's why I brought her. Okay, so do you guys feel, can you see us if we sit down, even though I feel super awkward? Yeah. All right, so we'll try this. So, okay, now officially, thank you, sir. Now we're going to officially, I want you to officially introduce, or maybe we should, okay, let me start at the beginning. I'm new at this, y'all. So welcome to Real Cars and Real Estate. We are going to do this every month, except Thanksgiving month, so November and December, because I'm not going to try to fight Thanksgiving parties and Christmas parties. So next month will be our last event for the year, and then we'll pick up again in January. My name is Presley. I am half of Dimensional Capital Partners. The guy in the, I don't know what color that is, orange or salmon, the salmon shirt. He is the other half of Dimensional Capital Partners and my securities attorney. I am not joking when I say, let me stop and make sure my attorney is not behind me. And I think for somebody he was behind me, I was like, okay, let me shut up. So he keeps me out of trouble. He keeps us compliant. And in our world of investing with commercial real estate, you need to have a securities attorney. So we got one here. We have developments here in Houston. We have some in Michigan as well. And we are a multifamily syndicator. So now that I got that out the way, and at the end, I also want to talk about our sponsors. We got Scoop, we got Yummies. I say at the end, I'm doing it now. Scoop's Craft Creamery. We have Yummy's Hot Chicken. And then I'll want the artist to also come up here and say a word. But we've got the formalities out the way. Welcome, Angel. I appreciate you coming. How many hours did you drive? Or did you fly?
Oh, I don't fly.
You don't fly?
No.
So I can't get you in a plane with you?
Probably not. No.
None of my partners want. I fly. I'm a pilot, and I try to. Everybody I
I saw
partner
the
with,
pictures.
yeah, nobody wants to fly with me. I haven't crashed yet.
I only have one friend that actually survived a plane crash, so you know.
Okay, that sucks. Okay.
I think cruise, like drowning, is probably another horrible way to die.
So no cruises and no airplanes. So how many hours?
I don't know, maybe 6, 5.5, 6.
She drove 6 hours to talk to you guys.
Oh, thank you.
How we make it less? Because I appreciate it. Our last event, we had 2 3-hour drives and a 4-hour drive. And then another person drove 13 hours with their 1-year-old or something like that. Was about one. They were a baby. They were a baby. So we have people that come very far. Not for me, it's probably because of the cars. So thank you for driving 6 hours. So introduce yourself, but I don't want to start at the commercial. I want you to start at the beginning because this is about women in real estate. So thank you, women that came out today to support me.
As far as being a woman in real estate, I'm probably the last person you want to talk to about that because I don't think we should be judged by what we pack in our pants.
Yeah.
I'm just a real estate.
This is
investor.
Texas. You mean a 9 millimeter?
I'm just saying. I mean, I'm a real estate investor. Period. So don't look at me differently because I'm going to go toe to toe with you, and that's just the way it's going to be. So don't think that you're at a disadvantage if you're a female in the space because you're not. Because there's so many things we can do that other people can't. When we're talking to somebody, you know, I can reach over and pat somebody. Nobody's going to think anything about it. But every time I can do something that's going to make you remember me, I'm gonna hit your memory a lot more than some other people because I'm not afraid to reach out, and I'm not afraid to go toe to toe. And I'll be blunt too. Like I don't do numbers. I don't have to. My husband had his PhD when he was 26 in chemical engineering. He runs our numbers. That is not my lane. I know what my lane is, and I stay in my lane. This is my lane. I talk to people. I have fun. I get to meet people. I go out to dinners. It's amazing. But when my husband brings up those spreadsheets, like a wave of nausea comes over me because I'm just like, oh my God. I do not want to look at those numbers. I'm not dumb. I mean, I'm an economist. But those numbers, I'm like, God, there's so many of them and they're everywhere. That is not my thing. And so to be able to get in my lane and stay in my lane, it's not a male-female thing. It's a find your superpower and get in your lane and just be there. And quit working on your dang weaknesses. The more you take away from your superpowers and the more time you spend working on your weaknesses, the more mediocre you become. You want to be mediocre? I don't. I want to be amazing. And if I get to stay in my superpower one more hour, that's what I'm going to do because I don't want to take away from that. So
That's powerful. Am I paying you? So how long? I know, right? You're not helping. How long have you been in real estate?
So I heard something the other day that I've kind of adapted. We are second generation investors. My husband and I both grew up in families that invested in real estate. So we've been doing this for a really long time. We got our first house in 2003. Let's see, I was 26.
That was a couple of years after I graduated from high school.
Anyway. last get my senior year, so we're all good. Not as good as my friend over there though. Like where is Ethan? Ethan went to Cornell at 16.
We have geniuses in the room.
Yeah,
Geniuses in
for
investment.
real. He went to Cornell at 16. He went to Columbia. No. It was Columbia at 16 and Cornell Law School at 19.
19.
Yeah,
Law school
he's
at
here.
19.
Oh, there he is. He's back there, maybe.
I told you she was gonna do it every time. So 19 years.
Yeah, we've been doing it for a bit. Let's see, I was 26 and my husband was probably, I don't know, 23 or 24. So it was before he got his doctorate.
How did you start in, so I know the story, but so you started in single family, right? How did you start in single family?
So this is the story he wants. So my husband and I, we got our first house in 03 and he got his first job in 07. And I actually don't remember us ever having a conversation about whether or not it was going to be our first rental. It was just our first rental. I seriously don't remember us talking about whether or not we were going to do it. It just happened. The next thing I know is we're out there looking for somebody to make ready. And so that it became our first rental. And then we moved to Wichita Falls and started buying some more singles. And that was just how it went. We had our son in 2010. But we didn't know that he had a rare disease until he was 19 months old. And we just kind of discovered that there's basically two schools of thought in the special needs community. You either stay poor so that you can get all the services for your kid, or you go the other direction. And we did the poverty route. I didn't get to work. I didn't get to do anything. And one day my husband and I crunched the numbers and we were like, what are we actually saving? Because Medicaid sucks. It does. The diapers swell, they leak, they're nasty. You get 2 packs of wipes per month. And I don't know about, 2 packs. So I don't know if all of y'all have kids, but 2 packs last about, I don't know. I should say a week and a half. But we crunched the numbers and we were like, what are we actually saving? Maybe 45,000 a year. Well, I can make 75,000 a year working from home. And so we just decided that we weren't going to go that route. We decided to go the other direction, and we got more heavily involved in real estate investing and understanding how intense Anson's medical needs would be. We stumbled across multifamily, and there's nothing wrong with residential. It's just a slow roll, but it's a great store of value. So if you want to store your money somewhere, by all means, do residential. Because multifamily is another job. It's like freaking flipping houses, but at the multifamily.
At a bigger scale. At a bigger scale.
Yeah. And so we came from the residential world and we're like, we don't want to just flip apartments. Our goal is to hold them. We find infinite returns in multifamily. And so it's just the first person I ever heard talk about was Sam Newell. He's doing it in El Paso. And I was just like, wait a second. You're getting infinite returns in multifamily? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. And
Not to mention the tax benefits.
Yeah, and it was just like, wow.
How many people here are in single family? It's usually a majority of the crowd. How many are in multifamily? I mean, single family. Single family? Single family? How many people are in multifamily? So both. So we got a good mix this time. Last time it was like 80% was in single family. And I was like, how did y'all get my advertisements? I only know multifamily people. So thank you guys for coming.
And there's nothing wrong with either. They're both really smart moves. I'm always going to have a soft spot in my heart for single, but that's when we got started. That's what my grandparents did. That's what my husband's family did. And honestly, it's easy. You may be sitting out there and thinking, oh my God, it should just call single family easy. But it's more that I've done it and I'm not afraid of it anymore. Multifamily is hard. Oh my God, it's hard. It's not impossible, but you have to have a team. And so, yeah. So if you don't like people, just stay in single.
Or you get a partner who is a people person.
Yeah.
Superpower.
Yeah, so my husband's a huge introvert. So, we've got a summit coming up next week, and one of the master classes is on how to network as an introvert. And one of the things that I suggest is finding you an extroverted wingman, because we don't care. It could be something we don't even know about. We just want to be around people. That's it. The last time we were in Houston, it was one of my husband's gigs for his consulting firm. And I went to something at Shell. Was it Shell? Maybe Shell. So the huge compound of Shell, and I'm there for some kind of green energy thing. And don't hate me, I don't really care about green energy. I just don't. I think that retrofitting for petro engines is just really, really, really hard. I think it's a stupid thing. But anyway, so there's this green energy thing, and I go to the still at Shell. We got free food. It was amazing. I like to eat. And so that's what I mean by like, if you're an introvert, find you an extroverted friend, because we seriously don't care what the event is. We just like being around people and talking, and it's fun. So there you go. That's tip number one.
Quick fact, a good majority of the world's elite, the billionaires, can't think of his name, Bill Gates, a lot of them are introverts. So you can make it through. I'm an introvert. I am seriously, take me to a party. I can do this because this is my event. So I know how to put on the face, but if I go to an event, I'm probably in the back somewhere. Unless I have to make some money, then I just fake it.
Did you ever read the book Quiet?
I've heard of it, but no, I haven't read it.
So my husband has it on my phone. I'm supposed to be listening to it as I drive. After almost hitting a couple of vehicles, I realized that I can't listen to books in intense situations. So I turned it off and I was listening to my regular, like, old school hip hop and R&B. Which is another one of those don't judge book back cover. But there's some really cool things in there because it talks about like how people that are introverted, like how they think and the complications of their thought processes, right? And so it was really neat because as I'm getting ready for the summit, I'm thinking, how are Jason and I, which is my husband, how are we going to present this idea of networking as an introvert? Because I'm not by any means of the spectrum. And how do we show people how to effectively work an event, right? So my husband is real big on the numbers. That's why I don't have to be. But when we go to events, like he can't do the small talk. He can't start the conversations. He can't break the ice. But when the conversation turns to the numbers, I can walk away because he is so in tune with those numbers. Like he seriously coded our whole spreadsheet for underwriting. Like that is his thing, 100%.
Let's stop there.
Oh.
How many people? So you know, I do that a lot. I did it on our podcast. If I hear a gold nugget, I will stop because I don't want the audience to miss it. How many people use spreadsheets for their investments? How many people want to use spreadsheets or are either afraid of it or don't know how to get it? Okay, because the reason I ask that is because the people who have done spreadsheets, go to them. Just go to him. He's done everything. My second question is, how many of you guys are getting something or a lot from this conversation so far? And you don't have to raise your hand because I gave you a free ticket. Okay.
Go further too and say that whoever is doing your underwriting, they gotta know the formulas. Like, why are the numbers that are being calculated the way they were?
I'm the numbers guy.
Yeah. So I was interviewing Jason for the summit, which, by the way, I'm about to finish 3 years of summits. When I first started in March of 2020, I was the only female in the nation running a big summit. That very first one was 24 speakers, and I chose all females. I didn't market it that way because I don't ever want to limit who's going to be in my audience. And I think there's a lot of people that when they see a bunch of female speakers are like, I'm not going to that event, it's for girls. But that's not the reality. You should go to that event because it's real estate investors. You want to be an investor, you want to be successful? I mean, holy hell. We have babies and we still go to work. We got cramps every month and we still go to work. We don't cry, we don't whine, we don't stay in bed. We go to work. We make things happen. And I think about when I committed to doing my meetup every Monday, I do get depressed. And I'm gonna stay in bed. I'm not gonna take showers. My hair gets nasty. Thank God for dry shampoo. Thank God for Zoom. You can't tell how gross it is. But there have been plenty of mornings on a Monday when I knew I had that dang meetup And I would literally sit up in bed, grab the lights, and start the Zoom. Because it was the last thing I wanted to do. But I committed to it. And that's one of those other kind of little nuggets I'm gonna put out there is excuses are easy. But commitment takes faith. And for God, a year and a half, I had like 10 people on my meetup. Like I'm looking out here and I'm like, oh my God, you have people.
Me too.
But there were times when there was like 4 of us that would be at my meetup. And we kept doing it. Now we have like almost 40 every Monday, and it's awesome. But you have to be willing to commit to it. So whether you're looking at it by being a realtor, or you're looking at it as, hey, I'm going to get into my first investment property, or hey, I'm going to buy my first single, whatever you're doing, damn, just commit to it and say, this is the road I'm going to go down. My father-in-law said he was going to do residential multis. When he died, I remember it was the first, I married up. We'll just go with I married up. It was the first time I'd ever heard someone say, I have to keep the estate under 10 million. And I was like, what? I got mad at Jason. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? I've been working my ass off, teaching school all day long, and then teaching at Braden Baptist University every evening, and your parents wrote a check for your freaking undergrad? Are you kidding me? Because I didn't have to do that. And he did it through residential multis. He had 60 or 70 units. And so don't ever discount what you're doing if you're in residential, because residential is incredibly powerful. And I'm never going to tell somebody to sell all the residential stuff into a multi.
I will.
I won't. Because whatever you choose to do, whatever is your comfort zone, stick
I
with
agree.
it.
I agree. I want to go back though, because I invited everybody here to talk about investing, but I think this point is more important than investing. And this is for men and women. When you can't get up, how do you get up? You don't cry.
I do cry. It's because you committed to it.
So you hold yourself accountable.
Because if you can't commit to yourself, who can you commit to?
So commit to yourself, hold yourself accountable. And I'm gonna add to that, find somebody else to hold you accountable as well. Whether it's a spouse, sometimes it can't be your spouse. Sometimes it has to be a friend or a best friend or frenemy.
Well, and that, I think about the one time that Jason really pushed me. And it was when we were raising capital for our first deal. And the first team imploded, the second team dissolved, and he came home one day, it was like lunch, and he was like, we're about to lose $100,000 because we had $100,000 that went hard day one. And he looked at me and he was like, God, I'm so glad you're just still in bed and you're not drunk. Because for good nothing after, I was straight up alcoholic. It was all I did. All I did was drink because it sucked. We couldn't raise the money. We thought we were going to lose the deal. And that day, he said, okay, it was our second team, we just dissolved. He said, we're on the line for a $5 million purchase, and we got to make this thing happen. And we made a list of 35 people that were, they had experience, they had the financial wherewithal, they had the stuff that was needed to get the deal back on track. And I was like, okay, it will only take like first 5. No. And then I was like, okay, first 10. No. Call number 15 didn't answer, which was a Baylor grad. I graduated from Baylor, and Baylor people stick together. I know there's some Aggies out here. I won't point you out. But Aggies stick together. It's the only state school I know of that sticks together the way they do. But I really thought I could pull some Baylor with call number 15, Skinny Wolf. He did not answer. Call 16 was Agustina Pintus, and he dropped everything and helped us get our deal back on track. And he helped us find a loan product, and there was no reason for him to do that. So you're never going to know who you're going to make an impact on. The whole way I met Agustina was I was at a virtual meetup for Yona Weiss, and Agustina was there talking about how do you build relationships with brokers. He's like, you don't have blue hair. And as soon as he said that, the chat starts blowing up, and people are like, I met this girl with purple hair at a Brad Summer event. And I'm like, oh my God, that's me because I'm 2 hours from Dallas, right? So I go to some events sometimes. And very first breakout room, who's my breakout room? Agostino. And we're going around the room introducing ourselves. And it comes to me, he's like, "So Angel, who are you?" I'm like, "I'm the girl with the purple hair." And he's like, "Backpedal, backpedal, backpedal." But when he became call 16, he put our deal back on track. He was like, "Okay, so Lima One, if any of you have a deal and you're not able to get it through Lima One, they are amazing.
They're a commercial lender?
I don't know what they are, but they got our deal back on track."
There's some kind of lender.
They
Okay.
make miracles happen. But he was like, the first time I went with Lima One, I said I'd never do it again. The second time I was like, never do it again. So I could probably say the third time, fourth time, fifth time. But at the end of the day, from approval to close, 28 days. And that was with third parties too.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I want to backtrack. I think you guys got the gist. So when you go multifamily, you don't have to have a team, but you're probably crazy if you don't have a team. And how many was on your first team?
There were 4 of us on the first team,
Okay, so 4 on the first team.
and that team imploded.
How many deals did you underwrite? How many deals did your husband underwrite before you found your first deal? Your first multifamily deal? I know it's a lot.
And this is the weird one because, the reason why I even called on the deal was because it came from my phone. It was like an SMS blast. And I was like, I've never talked to a broker before. Why not? So I called. And then I was like, well, we'll go ahead and schedule this. I'll call you back if it doesn't work out, but just go ahead and pencil it in. And that was how I got started. And we don't do things the typical way. So
that's what breakthroughs come through. So the reason why I wanted to point that out is in the multifamily realm, we have to look at about 100 deals before we can find maybe 5 that pencils, that has some kind of return that we like. And hope and pray that those 5 actually work out. It's very common to put offers on all 5 and lose all 5 deals. And in the multifamily space, when you put an offer on deal, they'll do final invest, and then another final invest, and then a final, and they'll kind of sometimes just keep going to maybe 3 or 4 final invests. And it's like you're squeezing blood from a turnip because usually the first or second offer that you put in was usually your best one. So now you're just trying to make money appear or something favorable in the LOI so the broker will pick you, especially in Texas because Texas is such a hot market.
Well, and that's where things were a little bit different for us. The property we got to 10 minutes from our house, and it was actually the second LOI we ever did. And that's, I'm not going to say have a good story, but have a good story. For us, it kind of works out because we have a special needs son, right? With a rare disease. We've got an amazing life. We've got an amazing story. But even if you don't have those things, God, come up with something. Come up with a charity, come up with something that you're giving to, because at the end of the day, that was what the seller latched onto. He was like, oh, well, I give money to these different groups. It's like, oh, awesome. And that's what got that conversation started. And it was because he wanted to be a part of something that was bigger than himself. So if you think about the six human needs, you've got kind of got Maslow's on the first order, it's the first one is that you like things to be the same. And then the second one is you like variety. The third one is you need love and connection. And so it's these needs. And then the 5th and 6th one are you need impact. You need to be doing something. You need to be growing. And so if you can connect with people on the 5th and 6th level, then they're really going to connect with you. And that was the beauty of what we had. We've got a son with a rare disease. And we want to create a foundation for him. We want to create a foundation that is giving to other families with rare diseases. And so anybody we talk to that also enjoys giving to charities, they're going to connect with us because we've got that relatability there. So it doesn't have to be your why. It doesn't have to be something like that, but you need to find things to connect to people with. And so that was one of the things that I never realized was a superpower. with our coach, he had us send out 2 questions he said send it out to five friends, so what they say. I sent it out to 10 because I was like, 5 people aren't gonna respond. And 7 people responded back and they all said the same thing, that I would talk to anybody, because again, I don't see people as different. People are people, right? So I'll talk to anybody. I'll build an instant relationship. It usually takes me somewhere around 15, 30 minutes. And half the time I'll have that person doing something for me by the end of the night. That was the one I thought was funny. But they all basically said the same thing. And so once I learned that piece, it was a game changer, because I assumed that Jason couldn't talk to people because he was an engineer. I didn't realize that it was like a talent. And that's one of the things that makes it really hard for me to put a value on what I do, because it's just fun. Like, I don't put a value on being here right now because it's just fun. I like talking to people, and I like relating to people, and I like sharing my story, because at the end of the day, I'm always going to be a teacher. I was in K through 12 for 17 years. I'll never walk away from that. I'll always be a teacher. And so it's really fun for me to get to share with y'all and get to help you, because that's what I want to do. I want to help you. I want to help you find your dreams. And man, I want you to work for your own dreams. Quit working for other people's dreams. Work for your own dreams. And I want to help you get there. And so that's one of the things I really love about doing this kind of stuff.
She's always this passionate. For real. Is there anybody in here who is working on getting into investing? They're either a realtor or, thanks, Joe. See you guys later. Thank you. See you guys later. They told me they would leave early, so they get a pass. But is there anybody who was not an investor and is like, hey, this is my first time coming to something like this, and I want to get into it? So everybody here is pretty much in that space already and comfortable. You're getting started. So everybody, this is an investment family. If she needs anything, make sure she has before she leaves. I mean, wouldn't we all like that? And the same thing for everybody else. And this is what I said on the last panel. If you have a feeling in your stomach that you need to talk to that person before they leave, make sure you talk to them. It might be a deal, or it might be something personal that might change your life. There's always a reason why you have this gut feeling. And a lot of times we try to ignore it because it's not socially acceptable. You don't want to interrupt the conversation that they're having already, or you have purple hair, or whatever it is. But make sure if you have that instinct telling you to do something, to follow it. So through your years of transitioning through single family and then into multifamily, how do you look at the commercial deals different? And then also, how do you look at them from, I don't want to go to the women's space because you've established that does not exist. But from your mind frame, how do you now look at deals? Because your first deal in multifamily is always by far the hardest, unless you are connected to a lot of, but even you were connected to a lot of heavy hitters already. We're not going to say their names because we don't want to pay them any money. But your first deal is always extremely hard. Your first raise is extremely hard. I did a podcast with Trevor Thompson Tuesday.
And K. Trevor was a part of the second team.
Was he? And it's a small world, so we normally know each other in the multifamily space.
Well, and he'll tell you that like he wishes that he would have stuck with it, but the second team dissolved because things were rocky, and you never know what somebody's risk tolerance is. And so the second team dissolved. He was part of the second team. He came back and invested in the deal.
Kevin's Keith. I'm calling Keith. His name
He just has to be in contract.
He lost $350,000 or $325,000 or something like that on the first deal. Got it back. So this is not doom and gloom stories because he got it back. Your deal went through. But all of these events, you always hear these great stories. We made money and we raised this amount of money and now we own 700 units. And I think that creates, it creates hope, but it also creates a bad illusion of anything in this industry is easy, because single family can be very difficult, right? So going back to the question, now that you have overcome these mountains, and you're still gonna have more mountains to come, Has your mindset changed? And if it has, what's changed in your mindset now? Of how you view the deals and look at the deals?
So my mindset definitely changed. First, it was incredibly hard, so hard, and I don't think they get easier. I think that you become more equipped to handle the crazy, but I don't think they get easier. While our deal was going crazy, so our coach is Joe Fairless.
Does anybody know Joe? We got a good crowd here. We get to educate.
All right, so Joe has 2.5 billion in assets under management. He doesn't pair with his students. That's his assets. That's his company. And we were calling him like, God, every day almost, every other day for sure. And he just kept saying, this is how it goes. It's crazy. This is how it goes. And the girl that was serving as our sponsor was like, no, this isn't how it goes. It shouldn't be like this. It should be easy. And it's not. And after we went through it, and then other things have come up, you know, in July, which was July 11th, actually the dates. On July 11th, we get this phone call that's like, hey, by the way, Wayner's dissolving in 2 weeks. That was our property manager. Jason and my oldest were leaving for Philmont, which is back country, New Mexico. They're going to be out of cell phone range, out of internet range. And so we get this call, Wayner's dissolving in 2 weeks. That's our property manager. And they're like, it's no big deal. You know, Brown and Four Stones are going to take over and they're going to keep you. Well, then on July 15th, I got a certified letter. I got an email that said, oh, by the way, they don't want you. Oh, beautiful. So I had to find a new property management company, which our regional was on top of it. She was moving with another company. We were going to go with her, but I was freaking out. On-site people had no clue what was going on. But I'll share a story about our on-site leasing girl. When we first went there, so probably September of 21, she had just lost her baby. So she was pregnant and miscarried. And I walked up to her and I said, hey, I know you don't know me, but from one mom to another, I love you and I hope you get through this. And when we were talking, when everything was going crazy and we didn't have a property management company, she recounted that story to me. So again, don't ever discount the impact you're going to have on somebody. The hug, the side hug, the handshake, whatever it is you're doing, don't ever discount that. Because by the end of it all, one of her last texts to me was, where are you and Jason going? Because I'm staying with y'all. And so she didn't care who the regional was going with. She didn't care who we went with, who we moved with. She was sticking with us because she knew that we cared about her. And that was one of the things I learned from teaching. It was, you know, when I taught middle school, I was at a very ethnic school, you know, 45% Hispanic, 40% Black, 15% mixed Black and Asian, Ivy school. And my goal was to relate to my students and let them know that I loved them and then they loved me in return. And that was the world to me. Those are my kids. I know they're not biologically mine, but those are my babies. And that was where I really learned the importance of you are who you are. And don't forget that. Because when you forget it, everybody knows it. You think they don't know it, but everybody knows it. And if you want to be able to raise money, you want to be able to relate to people, you want to be able to make the world change for you, you want to create your own privilege, you want to make things happen, God, just be you. Because everybody's going to see through anything else you try to be.
So I want to wrap this up because I want to wrap. The end of that statement is I want to wrap this up with a good story. Tell them what happened to your net worth from when you started until now. Right. You told me everything else.
I know. It's so number one, don't discount coaches. Coaches help you. But from the beginning until now, we've tripled our net worth.
There's positive here.
No, it's yeah, we spent over 6 figures in coaches, but on the residential side, you know, we were looking at 500,000 in net worth, and we worked 11 years for that. And then we got into multifamily, and we just decided to really buckle down and be us.
So how fast did multifamily did it take the trip in net worth?
3 years?
So from 11 years to move into commercial real estate, 3 years.
Maybe 4. 3.
Yeah, about 3 years. That's about the average for multifamily. So the moral of the story is multifamily is hard, but it's worth it. So
You can do it in single, or you can do it residential too. I mean, my father-in-law, he owned 60, 70 units of residential multifamily. They were all paid off. And he didn't start till he was 40-something.
so I got time.
I'm just saying, like, don't, man, whatever you're comfortable with, just do it, commit to it, and just do it. You can make it successful no matter what you're doing.
What's a gold nugget that you want to leave? This is women in real estate. So what's a gold nugget that you want to leave to the 9mm packing individuals in the audience?
I mean, just be you. I mean, there's so many people in this space, and to differentiate yourself, there's so many people that are trying to be someone else, and you don't have to be someone else. You can just be you and be spectacular, and people are going to remember everything about you, because at the end of the day, it's that Maya Angelou quote, right? People aren't always going to remember what you said. They're not always going to remember what you did, but they will 100% always remember how you made them feel. And just keep that in your mind. Like, just remember how you're making people feel. Because if you want people to invest with you and you want people to support you, God, just be a good person. Don't be a jackass.
You guys like that? Is anybody gonna come back next month? If they let me come back next month? Yeah, like 2 hands. All right, guys, give it up for Angel. So we're gonna back up. Make sure, especially if you have a ticket, did Scoops leave? I want some ice cream. If they're still here, get ice cream, and then the chicken trucks will still be outside as well. All right, guys, thank you for coming.